This week on the season finale of The Valley.
You can give a shit less.
Done.
Yeah, get the out of here. You don't want to actually talk. Go. Don't ever talk to my wife like that. You think I'm fucking around? I will wreck you, dude. Wow.
You guys, it is The Valley season 1 episode 12, the season finale that we're going to be talking about today. When I think of a season finale, this is what I'm thinking of. An episode that has everything. That has the drama, that has the chaotic last group event, that has, the cliffhanger for us to be interested in next season. So let's get started about this amazing season finale. Let's get right into it. So we see a lot of little clips of all the people, Jackson and Brittany at the bar, Jesse and Michelle working, Danny and Nia talking about buying a house. But the first scene of the episode is Jasmine going to a pottery store with Zach. I love a pottery store. I'm fascinated, just like the way that you can just make this clay into a... Anyway, and I loved how here, they could make their own pottery with the clay. So they begin doing their pottery, and Jasmine says, I never want to go to Baby Moon ever again. Zach asks, how was it? And he says, I also assume that I was probably mentioned. Jasmine says, yeah, me, Brittany, and Nia were all sticking up for you and how you felt for not being invited. Zach says, well, I don't know if you saw, but I posted on my Instagram story that I was there. And Jasmine's like, oh yeah, sure. Janet got very upset over that. And Zach says, it was a joke. I was being petty. Jasmine says that she thinks Janet should be straight up with Zach and tell him if she likes him or not. Like, don't create this narrative that he's done something bad, because he really hasn't. Zach says that they will definitely be having a talk at Zach's party, but it's clear that Janet's refusing to invite him was clearly because of his association with Kristen. So then we see Brittany and Jax at the bar. It is one day before the opening and they're putting a lot of elbow grease into this. Brittany is putting the plants in the wall. Jax is cleaning. They still have a lot to do for one day. Jax thanks Brittany for being very helpful because she was. And earlier, Brittany surprised him by bringing his sister there, which was nice. Such a nice thing to do. Brittany says, you should be mean to me, you see, because I'm good, I help you. And Jack says, I know, I made a mistake, I thought you were drunk, and I'm just so stressed out lately. Brittany says that she's still upset about the fact that they haven't been trying for the second child like they had scheduled. Like they had a plan of when to try to have a second child, and they haven't been doing it. He says that he's just very overwhelmed. That's something that they still need to figure out because they were definitely not on the same page. Alright, so then we see Kristen and Luke. It has not been the best summer for Kristen, so her and Luke are talking about the trip that they're going to be taking to Colorado and to Indiana pretty soon. She says that she is happy to go and support Jax and Brittany at this bar. She's not too thrilled to see the people that are going to be there, but she still kind of wants to talk to Michelle one last time just to kind of clear up everything. And she also clarifies that she didn't mean to say that Michelle has had a boyfriend for a year. She meant that Michelle had a boyfriend a year ago, which she doesn't blame her, by the way. She says that Jesse was being a horrible husband, so she doesn't blame her, but she did want to clarify that. So then we see Jesse and Michelle. Jesse sort of brings Jax and Brittany and the problems that they're having, and he kind of compares his situation to them. He says that he too thought that Michelle would never leave him. He thought that, she would have strong family values and do whatever it took to fix the problems. Michelle says that she has been trying to fix the problems, but she has lost a lot of feelings for him. She says that she doesn't want to feel like this anymore. He says that she should start by saying that he's a good husband and a good father, that he wants them to go back to where they were on April 2020 when they were hugging and kissing and still being in love. She says that she wants to be in love with him, but she doesn't think she can. And then we see tears falling down Jesse's face, and he says that he takes 3 steps forward, but she takes 6 back. And even though I don't like Jesse for how arrogant he is, I do feel bad for him because he wants his marriage to survive. And we've seen him actually take initiative and, take action this season. But it is too late, and we really don't know what happened to what led to this. Because, we only saw what we saw this season, but this has obviously been festering for a while. But you guys, it is then time for the big bar opening. Jax is so happy. He was being very lovable with Brittany, kissing her, holding her. And how could he not? Brittany was an integral part of this whole thing. Everyone begins to arrive, and everyone looked good. Tom Schwartz was there too, and his hair is back to brown. Good. The bar's name, of course, we all know, is Jax's. When Kristen arrives, there was some tension because, remember, she hasn't been with the group for a while. And anywhere she went, Janet and Michelle would just scatter. So then Janet and Michelle talk to Jasmine, and Jasmine says, I was with Zach. And Janet was like, yeah, I saw that you were with Zach at a pottery class. What did he say? She's so, authoritative in that way. So then Zach joins them. Janet tells him that it was never really her intention to send Jax to be the messenger. And then she says that what she didn't like was the way he spoke to her when she made that phone call. And Zach is sort of rolling his eyes. So Jason, Janet's husband, jumps in and says, is that not what happened, Zach? Like, you're rolling your eyes. And Janet says, yes, that's what happened. My friend even heard you. And Zach says, I don't care what crock of shit Boots heard. That made me laugh so hard. So then Janet says, I'm done. And she gets up and leaves. And as she's doing that, Zach says, yeah, get the F out of here. Jason says, don't ever talk to my wife like that. I would wreck you, dude. I mean, that's her husband. So obviously he's gonna and should defend her. So I'm not mad at him. But I'm Team Zach on this one. I don't like Janet. As she's walking away, she calls Zach loser and trash. Zach tells Michelle and Jasmine, do y'all see how messy Janet is? When she spoke to me, she had me on speaker, and she had her raggedy friends listen, and then had Jax tell me and Kristen that we weren't invited. She didn't even have the courtesy to tell us. He says, you know what? She is the queen of England, because she's dead to me. His reads are very creative and funny. And, Jasmine was kind of having his back. But Brittany and Michelle didn't, because obviously at the end of the day, when someone is pregnant, the optics don't look good for you to be cussing them out. But also Janet uses it as an excuse way too much. So Jasmine is then talking to Janet. And Janet makes Jasmine cry. She starts to talk about, you don't have my back, you don't have my back. But Jasmine says, I am your friend, but I am his friend too. I'm friend with both of you, and I want you guys to be friends. And Janet begins to gaslight the hell out of Jasmine. So seeing Jasmine in tears is just another reason why I don't like Janet. And it also really speaks about Janet, because she started going off and saying, I know who my friends are now. I know who will be my baby's life. What? So you're gonna be mad that someone is gonna be fair? What do you want Jasmine to do? I think that she probably wanted Jasmine to stop being friends with Zach. And that's problematic. Janet then sits at the opposite side of the bar with her husband and her booted friends when Jax goes over to say, Janet, I was just a messenger. Janet says, what's your tone? I'm pregnant. And as soon as Jax was saying something that kind of went, because when she said I'm pregnant, he definitely did, stop and try not to sound so harsh, even though he wasn't. But when he starts to say something that was against her, she gets up and leaves and says, I'm out. Good luck with your bar. Wow. Janet is a little devil, which I already knew, but this finale really solidified everything. So then Kristen and Michelle come face to face. Kristen says, she says to Michelle, Janet started it. Do you not realize that? She started the shitstorm of lies. Kristen says that Janet has been lying all summer, and she says that, but it really didn't mean anything to Michelle, so they weren't going to make up, so she just lets her go. So, also, by the way, some guy told Danny that next gay pride, if he ever wants to experiment, call him. So then Jax gives his speech. He thanks his partner, but most importantly, his wife. I'm glad he acknowledged her. They are very excited that this is a sports bar in the valley named Jax, and it is now opened. He then plants a kiss on Brittany's lips in slow motion, and of course, we then see the screen say, 6 months later, we see TMZ, Jax Taylor and Brittany splitting up, and Jesse and Michelle divorcing. Jax cried during his confessional, and the cameras picked back up, and they are at Jesse and Michelle's house first. It is Michelle dropping their daughter off to Jesse. They are no longer living together. Michelle has moved out. Apparently, 3 days after filming wrapped, she told him that she was not going to move forward with him at all, and that was like a hit in his gut. In this scene, they are talking about the schedule that they are going to have with the kid when each of them are going to be taking care of her. They're going to split everything 50-50. She says that she also needs a list of clients because they're going to split the business as well. They will not be working together any longer. Jesse says that he isn't going to be signing any legal documents until he gets his own attorneys. And Michelle says, I don't care. I want to get divorced. The sooner the better. Wow. She says that she's moved on. She's found a place. They don't need to make things complicated. She is going to move on from him completely. Their poor little girl is probably too young to fully comprehend everything, and that's sad, but they are done, and it's pretty much set in stone. They also filmed at Janet's house. So she had her baby. Everything went good. Thank God. I do feel happy for her about that. They named their son Cameron. She's with all the ladies. Brittany was there too. And she says that she has moved out of her house to an Airbnb. She moved out because Jax, she says, is too selfish and refused to leave. And it's funny because that's the same thing for Michelle. She kind of relates to that. She's the one that had to move. Nia says to Brittany, was there a straw that broke the camel's back? And Brittany says that he would come home from the bar late, drunk, and aggressive. And one day he screamed at her about something about Luke, and it was so bad. And she said, She packed her stuff and left. She says that she has put up with a lot of pain, a lot of humiliation, and verbal, and everything. And then Michelle says that she is honestly so glad that she's getting divorced, and she thinks to herself, why didn't I do this sooner? Now, Brittany is not there with divorce yet because she doesn't want to disappoint her family. Then we see Jax at Jax's. Jason comes over and Jax says, paparazzi's everywhere. Now, knowing Jax, he probably called them himself. But he says that, there was no cheating, no abuse, none of that. It's not like she walked in and saw him cheating or nothing. She chose to leave, he says. But Jax's main concern at this moment is his son. He says that he will go to therapy and to the doctors for antidepressants. He admits that he needs help. He says that he needs to talk to Brittany. So the last scene of the episode is Jax and Brittany having the conversation once and for all. He says that he made the appointment with the doctor yesterday. And she's like, oh, yesterday? The day before the cameras went up? So she was calling him out. He didn't really know what to say. And she says, don't be mad at me that I'm calling you out. And he says, well, what do you want me to do? And she says, well, do you want me back? Because I will go. She gets emotional and says that he took away her safe space. She says, the way you screamed at me, the way the other day you told me that I had no friends here. And Jack says, no, I didn't. And Brittany says, Jack, stop. As soon as these cameras go down, you're going to come at me and just come at me with all this stuff. She also brings up some of the TMZ interviews that he has been giving where he has been lying for attention. One thing that Jax is great at doing, though, is like pretending, or he knows he knows the wrong things that he's doing, and he is good at taking accountability in the moment. So he would say things like, I know I need help, like I have demons in my head, my family, the men in my family don't talk, I know I need to go to therapy. Like, he knows what to say. But funny enough, in the confessional, he tells us that he didn't even go to the therapy meeting that he had done. She says, well, they will still talk, but only about Cruz. But that is it for now. Then they play this emotional montage of their journey from the moment they met in Vanderpump, they got married, they had a baby, they bought a house, just everything. And then it pins to Brittany walking out the door, getting on that Jeep, and leaving. And that was the end of the Valley. Wow! Like I said in the beginning of the video, though, this is a finale. It was a great finale. I am so glad that Janet was called out, even though, again, I do give her a little bit of a pass because she was pregnant, but that doesn't give her... She's still not a good person, let's put it like that. So I'm glad that they called her out. Jesse and Michelle, like I said, set in stone. There was no way their marriage he was going to be able to salvage that marriage during the summer. Brittany and Jax, part of me in the back of my head, I'm still thinking this is all fake, but I do think they have a lot of things to figure out. I do not think they will get divorced though. I think they will find a way. Kristen, it's going to be interesting to see her. The reports are saying that they're all returning for season 2. One of the things that I'm pretty upset about is that they didn't get a reunion. Now, why the hell didn't they get a reunion? They should have gotten a reunion. There was so much that happened. So I'm upset about that. But I am pretty excited for season 2. You guys, The Valley, when I went into it, I really didn't think much of it. But as soon as these episodes continued, you guys know I love the show. I want to thank every single one of you guys for sticking with me. We talked about the show for 12 weeks and we had a lot of fun talking about it. So thank you guys so much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. You have a great one. Bye.